Picture this: you love to play sports and you always play on a team every school year. You reach high school where you slowly perfect your craft while keeping your good grades. By the time you graduate your senior year, you're getting letters from many colleges asking you to come play for them. They offer you scholarships to pay for your classes and other expenses as long as you play at that college. Today, I will be telling you the reasons why student athletes should not be paid. I will be discussing the advantages of large school payments over smaller school budgets, the school stances on education values, and why the schools believe that students are already granted enough money for their athletics. College athletic departments are only as good as the players they can recruit. If the college athletes were to be paid, it would create an unfair monetary advantage to larger schools. In a USA Today article entitled "Texas has $163.3 million in athletic revenue in 2011-2012" by Steve Berkowitz and Jody Upton, they break down the record profit of the University of Texas against smaller schools. The University of Texas raked in $163.3 million in revenue while spending $138.3 million in operating costs. The majority of their profit came from one sport, football, with $103.8 million. Their $25 million profit was more than 135 of the roughly 220 Division I public schools spent on their entire athletics program in 2010-2011. Only 21 other Division I public schools from 2010 to 2011 were able to cover their expenses. A chart by Business Insider shows the net income of 16 universities in 2010, ranging from Alabama with $31.6 million to Oklahoma with $8 million. In NCAA to propose payment to student athletes with stipends by Johnny Harvey, he writes about where a student would go if money was involved. He compared the University of Texas's revenue of $163.3 million and their $138.3 million in expenses to a smaller institution, East Carolina, and their $35.5 million revenue to their $33.6 million in expenses. The proposed stipend of $2,000 would cost a smaller school like Tulane University $196,000 in football alone and over $640,000 in total to cover every student athlete at the school. Tulane football coach Curtis Johnson said, quote, "If you pay them more at Alabama than you would at Tulane, everyone would go to Alabama," unquote. While some schools profit greatly from athletics, others focus on the meeting of student athlete by valuing the student's education. Curtis Etchelberger, an Ivy League wouldn't follow NCAA paying athletes, director says. Ivy League schools would not start paying their student athletes. Ivy League schools do not grant athletes scholarships based on their athletic skills, and they demand that their athletes meet the university's academic standards. Robin Harris, the executive director of the Ivy League school, said, quote, "If student athletes want to be paid, they have to find somewhere else to play. Our general philosophy is that our athletes should be treated as close as possible to our students," unquote. She thinks that athletes have started to not value the education while they're at school, and if athletes should be paid, it should be removed from the education. Schools like Harvard and Yale are not the only schools who value education of their student athletes. In UNT Student Athletes Are Students First, Cinnamon Sheffield explains the numbers produced by the university's athletics. As the Associate Athletic Director of Student Services, she assists the University of Northern Texas's 343 athletes. Some of UNT's teams are among the best in the nation, such as the women's tennis team, who in 2008 had a 100% graduation rate. Sheffield stated, quote, "We remind them that athletics is a privilege, academics is the priority," unquote. Now that you understand how each school would handle paying situation, let's look at why the schools believe that student athletes are already compensated enough as it is. In Pay College Athletes, they're already paid up to $125,000 per year by Jeffrey Dorfman. He covers how student athletes are already compensated for their athletic contributions to their universities. Student athletes, for the most part, are on scholarships. They receive payment in the way of room and board, meals, and other expenses. The larger universities also offer their athletes academic counseling, tutoring, life skills training, and even nutritional advice. Other benefits they receive include coaching and training from professionals, which can cost approximately $2,000 a week. When all this is tallied, the student athlete receives about $50,000 to $125,000 in benefits per year. Student athletes also receive free national exposure from their talents while at school. Lisa Horn in Why College Football Players Should Not Get Paid to Play delves deeper into the benefits received. Football players receive free insurance, which can cost nearly $400 a month. They also receive free travel to various locations. Ohio State received a bill for $346,000 for a trip to Los Angeles. And in 2007, the 2008 season, college teams and travel costs spent $42.6 million. In conclusion, I have given you the facts concerning why college student athletes should not be paid. Many people do not realize how schools would not be able to compete with each other or the benefits many athletes already receive. Please use this information to expand your knowledge and decide for